Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we've got a Deep Purple clip that comes from Richie Blackmore's official YouTube channel. This clip is actually half John Lord talking about the band and then half them doing Black Knight, which is from Deep Purple and rock, back in 1970. So the Mach 2 lineup early in its history. So I just thought it would be interesting to hear John Lord talk about it. We love watching old Deep Purple, and I know we haven't seen this song before. So I thought it'd be fun to check it out. Adrian, do you have any thoughts up ahead before we dive into this?
Well, I'm just looking forward to hearing this performance of the song. Yeah, I also like to look forward to hearing John Lord's comments.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It should be interesting because it's much later that he's making these comments. All right, let's check this out and we will discuss afterwards.
Deep Purple in Rock was out, and the record company decided that there wasn't a single on it, which didn't worry us one bit. We were of the opinion that in England, singles didn't really matter for a band of our type. Whether we were right or wrong, I don't know, but that's just the stance that we took, maybe a little self-consciously, maybe a little, no, we don't do singles, man, but the record company insisted, and so we were trundled into a studio in Queensway and told to write one. Well, there's nothing less likely to make you write a single than that. Do it. You've got 4 hours. So we went through all sorts of bits and pieces, found a couple of little odd ideas, but nothing that floated our boat particularly. So we did what all proper rock bands do, is we went to the pub. And the drink of the day, I believe, was Scotch and Coke. So we had a few of those. Weaved our way rather uncertainly back into the studio and grinned at each other for a while. And then Richie said, again, what about that, that version of Ricky Nelson's Summertime from the Gershwin song? And we went, yeah. He said, well, there's a little riff under there, which but it just went around and around. So we kind of played it around and around, and it got very quickly very boring. One of us, who knows who, came up with the idea of putting a turnaround in it. Which made it a little less repetitive and boring, and then Ian pasted one of his magical little things, where one of those drum breaks that he used to come up with in those days. What are you doing there, Ian? I have no idea, it just fits, So that was cool. Suddenly we had a sort of a structure. And we came up with, I don't know, about 3 minutes of this thing, and it was rocking on quite nicely, and Gillan disappeared into a corner and came back with a set of utterly nonsensical lyrics, which they mean absolutely nothing as far as I can tell. I think at the time, I do remember, in spite of the Scotch and Cokes, him saying, "This don't mean a thing." I think Roger might have thrown in a couple of rhymes, and then we had Black Knight. Spelling is important there. We never knew whether it was N-I-G-H-T or K-N-I-G-H-T. So it's either about a chess piece or a particularly cloudy English winter evening. I'm not quite.
Okay, so before we go too much farther, I have a few comments on what he's saying. First of all, I'm reminded that all the bands back then weren't really thinking about singles so much. Led Zeppelin was one, Black Sabbath was one. And Zeppelin never actually got pushed into making a single, probably because they were already selling big numbers. But Black Sabbath sort of was when they wrote Paranoid. It was kind of a similar situation. What are we going to do? And so they very quickly wrote a song, and it was Paranoid, and it's kind of the same thing as what he just described for Black Knight. I just find that amusing. like back then. What do you mean single? And we're an album band. We're hard rockers, We don't put 3-minute ditties, pop songs on the radio. Do we look like Please Mr. Postman type of band here? I don't think so. And so it's just amusing to me. But often under duress, they could come up with a good song. And even just from his description, I know exactly what song he's talking about. I totally remember it even before listening to the clip. So, because I've heard the song.
I just wanted to add about the Black Sabbath song, when Paranoid became a single. Originally, the album was called War Pigs, and then they changed it to Paranoid after they released the single. They thought somebody thought it'd be a good idea to do that.
Probably somebody at the record label, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fine, except for the original album art, which looked more like War Pigs than Paranoid. Although he looked a little paranoid. All right, let's continue. I think we're about to hit the music clip.
Right.
Sure.
Maybe if I on the way down the line that I'm
Well, I didn't realize it was a mime until we started watching, but we've been very successful at avoiding Deep Purple mimes up until now, but that's okay. That's okay. We got the idea. So what'd you think, Adrian?
It's just one of those classic riffs that stick in your head. The riff has been going in my head for decades.
Yeah, they were in the right mindset to be creating riffs like this, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like, what are we going to write? I don't know. Let's go to the pub. All right, we're back. All right, well, what about that thing Under Summertime by this other artist? Oh, yeah, it's a pretty good place to start and all that. You know, it's pretty natural. Now, this is their first album as the Mach 2 hard rock band Deep Purple. All right. I know they made another album before that as the same lineup, but it wasn't the same music. You know, this is the first time that it actually got to be what we recognize as, you know, the hard rock, Deep Purple stuff. And let me see, how did it do on the charts? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it did pretty well, actually. It was number 2 on the UK singles chart, number 66 in the US. It is a cool song, I think. I do think that they got better, you know. I mean, Smoke on the Water is a great one. Highway Star is a great one. They had some real good singles after that. That one, okay, it was a good place to start. I thought that John Lord's commentary was very helpful in understanding not only the roots of the song, you know, how the song came to be, but also how the band worked together, you know, kind of where they were at the time. I mean, they really hit a groove there. They had several great albums in a row. I mean, In Rock, Fireball, Machine Head, you know, so a pretty good run for sure. And they're still out there today. I mean, we've still got Ian Gillan, Ian Pace, and Roger Glover working together as Deep Purple. Power to them. So pretty interesting piece of history there.
I was surprised to see also, we get a video from back in the day. One of those, I don't know which one, but it's like one of those TV shows that they would have.
With people in the back doing this. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Black Sabbath.
Either miming or not miming, but
yeah, it's just funny when you see that. Then you know probably the band is miming. Yeah. But it was cool. It was cool to see. All right, well, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this, and just any general thoughts you have, whether it has to do with the clip of them playing or John Lord, or if you saw them perform the song back in the day or more recently, that's fine too. Always like to hear about personal experiences with these bands. Just give your thoughts. If you have other suggestions, you can leave those as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed the presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us on this, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, take care, folks.
See you later.